Of Beyond the Backstage Pass. I am your host, Vince Edwards. You may know me from Sound Image Productions. I also have a couple closed, rather large Facebook groups for roadies, one called Death by Loadout, another called The Backstage Pass. Come check us out. This evening with me is the one, the only, the loudspeaker designer, legend, God, the owner of Truth in Audio, the man, Bernie Broderick. How are you, Big Daddy?
Yo, baby.
Yeah, you're looking good. What's up with that white shirt? What happened with the whole
like that?
motif? Yeah,
It's like linen.
Slick, buddy.
It's linen.
Is it linen? My gal
linen.
would like that. You know, she's a fabric expert, and she's yeah.
I'm trying to make people think I'm successful somehow.
Listen, we'll just keep lying to him. And
I know.
He's this guy, top notch. He just does it all.
Yeah.
That's actually the truth.
Hey, well, you know, we had a shit show last week. That was a shit show. That was actually an original shit show.
I want to speak to this real quick. Give me a sec, Bern. So we initially started this up, me and you and I.
Yep.
And we called this the shit show. Not this, but a version of this. And the
Where
idea,
we started, our roots.
Yeah, our roots, you know, and it was, you know, just talking shit, joshing around, telling stories, you know, it was fun. And it kind of got more serious. I was on my end. You always wanted to have fun with it. You're more frisky. And I started thinking Dave Letterman and, you know, all the Johnny Carson, all the shit I grew up with. And it was like, I think we can do this better. And you're like, go fuck yourself. But it is what it is. And here we are sharing the love in between us. But last week we had an occurrence with some technology. We do this show live. We do this show on the backs of the idea that here at Sound Image, a rather successful, busy company, which I personally have been going so hard at it today. Matter of fact, for the last 3 weeks straight, I haven't had a day off, and I've worked crazy hours that I haven't been able to be as attentive to the show as I should, because this is also a priority to me. But of course, the work of Sound Image comes first, getting these shows out. What do we do this week? We did sound system 79. I don't know, all these big, we just had Third Eye Blind, and now we're doing Death Cab for Cutie tomorrow, and we're a busy company. And so we had some technical challenges, and it was sad because we were unable to go live. We had a bunch of our friends showing up. We love the community that happens with our appointment viewers, the folks that actually show up live with us. The awesome. Charlie Ricky and my wife, you know, the wonderful Jackie Canterbury and Pat O'Doul and Scott Cheney. We love these people. Suzanne Kearney. We're lucky. So it really hurt that we weren't able to go on. It was a straight up technical glitch. I had the wonderful, incredibly talented and esteemed Jan Landy from Phuket, Thailand coming on. This is a guy that's been in the business 51 years and a dear friend, and I wasn't able to go live with him, and it was embarrassing and sad, and it made me grumpy. I wouldn't have wanted to work for me for the next couple of days after that, man. I was not happy. I was being a little, you know.
Well, you know, I mean, this show, I mean, you do this like Mike does this, like we all do this. We do this out of the kindness of our hearts. We you know, we just enjoy speaking to our brothers and sisters out there. So, you know, going back to, I remember us sitting down and talking about, you know, in the early days with Shit Show, talking about doing it pre-recorded or doing it live.
Yeah.
And I remember us talking about the fact that live is real, and pre-recorded is you can change it, you can edit it, and the audience. If we're going to do this right, we really want to present ourselves as the real people we are day to day.
That's right.
And that includes fuck-ups.
Yeah.
That includes things going wrong.
That's right.
And sadly, last week was the first time, like you said, in 80 shows, where we had a technical problem.
At that level.
It's always fucking computer related.
Yeah.
It's always going to be computer related.
That's right.
And we simply could not maintain a connection to Thailand. So as we would start to hear him, Jan, and we would start to go, are you there, Jan? And he'd be like, yep, I'm here, and blah, blah, blah. And then we'd go, okay, we're ready. And are you there, Jan? And he'd be staring at the screen.
Yeah.
And he couldn't hear us anymore. So this wasn't something that was a single problem that we had to navigate, find the issue, correct, keep going. It was a recurring thing that it was intermittent, that it would work for a little bit and then it would stop, and then it would work for a little bit and stop.
Yeah.
And there was no way you want to go live to your fans, your crew,
Audience. I don't have fans.
and have this fail 3 minutes into the show. It's just not going to work that way.
You actually made the call, because I'm diehard. You know, I'm like a freaking dog with a bone.
I did make the call.
I was sitting in this chair for an hour and 14 minutes, and you were like, dude, we got to pull the plan, and I
I did it for Jan.
You did the absolute right thing. Like I said, for me, the tenacious nature of my soul is to, grab on, bite down hard, and not let go till it's bled out. So it was tough, and I want to just send my deepest appreciation. And first of all, Jan is a dear man, a sweet man.
He'll be back.
Yeah, we're bringing him back. I'm trying to get him for the November 4th. Basically, next week we've got Ron Bergman from Live Nation, an extraordinary cat. Just a talented former head of production over there, director of production of Live Nation. That's a pretty great job. He's held this full fort down for years and years, so it'd be lovely to have him. And he was already booked. But then we're gonna hopefully bring Jan in on the 4th if he's cool with that date.
Oh, he was totally cool with everything.
Yeah.
He was, he was saying, dude, I'm in Thailand. Look.
Yeah.
I'm not stressing about nothing.
And, he's made some good choices. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's a great man. So, Jan, thank you for being patient with us, and we're hoping that we'll get to be back with you very, very soon. And you guys will really enjoy it. People in the audience. This guy's an extraordinary cat. No different than the cat we've got on this evening. By the way, let's do some housework real quick, then we'll jump over to our guests this evening.
Yeah.
All right,
so let's go through some of these things we were going to talk about last show. We didn't get to talk about, but our one and own Greg Price,
brother, just a total brother. Love this man.
Just jumped into Metallica.
Well,
I'm blown away.
Big Mick had some stuff that detained him, kept him away from being able to do the current Metallica tour. They had the independent show where they just did a pop-up show for 500 people right down the way here, and they called in the big gun, bringing Gregory off of Alice Cooper, and Brad Maddox took over for Alice Cooper. And so Greg came in, how excitable you can get. And this is one of the best engineers in the entire world.
Yeah.
He's literally just a head and shoulders above virtually anybody. And so he's out there killing it. He just sent us some love in the form of some I guess he's in Tennessee currently. And he sent us some bacon and a ham.
That's fantastic.
I like this, with his really sweet.
A ham shows up on your doorstep.
Just like it's just a really fortunate relationship. I love him, and I couldn't appreciate him more. And his lovely wife Martha, who in her own right, in some ways we say the star in that family is actually Martha.
Right.
The interesting thing, because she's wardrobe for Rolling Stones, Paul McCartney, all of the biggest bands in the world, Guns N' Roses. So. That's very sweet. It was a gift from both of them, Greg and Martha, and we very much appreciate them in the hope that they're traveling well and things are going good.
So we got our own Susie Dugan, who just got back with Rick and Lauren. Went out there to, what was it, Pittsburgh or Philadelphia?
Went to Pittsburgh. Did some shows in Pittsburgh for the good old Rick Allen scene, which I guess we got a date coming up with him on the 29th. We're going to do a show down in our neck of the woods down where, in Monterey. Maybe you come down for that. It would be quite fun. It would be lively. And we're doing it with Lovers and Strangers and Rick Allen and Lauren Monroe's band. And it should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's going to be fun.
Yeah,
for sure. Halloween, buddy.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
All the amateur hour.
Amateur hour.
All the jackals are going to be out.
So one of the things that I did last show was I threw on my Bose T-shirt.
Yes. Why did you do that?
Well, because I'm brand neutral, right? You know this.
I know this about you.
I don't give a shit about your company, you're this, you're that. I mean, I value my brand. I value my brand name. But what I mean to say is that I appreciate human beings that do good work.
Yeah.
And they're innovative and they're nice guys and they seem like they got the shit together. I'm not going to discount anybody's stuff, company, attitude, whatever, because of the brand you happen to work for.
Or a preconception of the brand you
And I'm getting to that, which is the point of the demo that we had here with Bose.
Yeah.
And I've been a big fan of Bose for many, many years. My stuff actually sounded better when I put the T-shirt on.
Yeah.
My own stuff. And so they've always said better sound through T-shirts, right?
Yeah.
And so my shit actually did start to sound better.
Well, I noticed when I came in, I walked in on that demo you were doing for them. So Bose was here doing a demo.
Yeah, and then I did a demo for Bose.
Ray demo.
Yeah.
And then I go into the back room because I need to get into a Jan Landy show.
That's right.
Sound Brokers Roundtable.
Right.
Last Wednesday. And you guys were in there, and you were showing off one of your carries, and I could see that they were pleasantly surprised.
They weren't hiding it.
Yeah.
They weren't hiding it. It's Doug and Tony.
And Brian Kim.
And Brian, and extremely nice gents.
Good guys.
And we talked a lot about brand image and things like that, and I won't get into all those details. But so the rubber meets the road when the little guy, me, puts out the little speaker, Kiri, and then you've got a couple of corporate types. They're not corporate. I mean, Bose is a solely owned company, but I mean, you know, big dog kind of things. And they sit there and they start picking out all the attributes that I built into the speaker. They know this shit. They and they appreciate it and they love it and they throw accolades at it. And I'm like, I'm wearing a fucking Bose t-shirt for you guys because you're the real deal.
Yeah.
And you know, I've been in that position where so many people have been around and they can't like you because you're wearing the wrong fucking logo on your shirt.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Well, you know, let's be fair. Okay, so in our industry, Bose stepping in with a line array system. You know, it's tricky. We're a bunch of arrogant jerks, and you know, we're all Adamson, L-acoustic. You know,
it's all street cred, as I told those guys.
Yeah, and these I mean, this is an extraordinary company. I remember when I was young, I thought Bose was I had some 501s and you know, the little point source, little suckers that I thought were great. You know, and in that market, the prosumer market, that's the thing. But for them to come into the line array thing. And I actually told him, you might want to, you know, first just to get these guys' attention, let the rig do the talking. Let's cover up the emblems real quick, and let's just let the rig do the work. And we put that thing through the paces.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, literally, neighbors 2 doors down were very upset because once we put on the Skrillex and we were playing all kinds, you know, Steely Dan and all this.
We do run the gamut.
But when we really hit it hard, and we hit it hard, I mean, this building wanted to almost fall. That thing held up. That thing did well. I was surprised. You know, I'm shipping out part of the demo rig to another place, but we're keeping another half of that rig, so easily a mid-sized show level rig that we're going to maybe push into the field and see what it can do in real life application. Because from what we could see, it stands its ground with a View rig or you know, E15 rig or you know, it's Adamson. It's good. It's pretty impressive, and it makes sense at a company like Bose, who's got this massive R&D department. They've got
they did some really good hires a few years ago too. They got
that.
Some of my compatriots from EAW, Jeff Rocha to be one notable
there you
one.
go. There you go. Brought in some heavy-duty engineers, some players that understand sound, understand audio,
and understand the industry.
Yeah, so it was an enjoyable couple. They were here with us for a couple days. While we're of course still running the company and running shows in and out, and so it was it was tricky, but we accommodated them, and it turned out to be a very nice venture. So I get why you had the shirt on. They were lovely guys. A little shout out. I think Tony was in here today. Actually, I was just too damn busy.
Wow.
I blew past him a couple times, but you know, you saw it today. I was pushing out so much gear. There was literally hundreds of thousands of pounds. I just didn't have time to be sociable, but. Here we are, and so right on, Bose. Good up, keep
good
it
up. Yeah, keep your eyes on them. Those guys are not pulling back. They're going to keep the pressure on, and they're doing some good stuff. You know, I love innovation, as you know.
Yeah.
So apparently, Sound Image is out doing Wilco this weekend.
Yeah, we just did them last week.
Oh, last week.
We just finished up Wilco. We just returned their gear.
Machine Gun Kelly.
Yeah, Machine Gun Kelly kicked some ass. That was out at the Aftershock thing with Metallica. That was a big show. Greggy was out there mixing the shit out of that thing.
Sound Tribe Sector 9.
We put them to bed. They had a lot of fun with Sound Tribe Sector 9. That was We've been, you know, kind of hitting it hard. We had Third Eye Blind. Was that last night, Mikey, or night before? I don't know.
Third Eye Blind? It was last weekend, right?
I don't know. Tuesday night. We did them Tuesday night at the stadium. And then this weekend we've got Death Cab for Cutie and some other folks.
Yeah. Wrapping up the Oxbow stage this weekend.
And this goes without saying, the corporate shows, the $1 million weddings, we do a lot of stuff here at Sound Image. And so our speakers do not discriminate. Where they like to go is, as they say, as the check clears, we're down. So, we put a lot of stuff into the field, and right now I'm looking at some bare pallet racking in here, which is a lovely thing, because I can't make any money when they're full. Yeah. So my big brother is real big about making that happen. I think he confirmed 3 shows today. We just bam, 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 bam. So we're booked right through. And like I said, I've been working 3 weeks straight. I don't think he's come out of the game for probably 4 weeks straight.
That's where all the hair came from.
I don't know where all that hair came from. That's totally. Our father was bald, so I have no idea, man. Good eating or something, good living. I don't know. Good for him.
So you want to throw out a thank you to Ryan?
Which one?
Ryan Torres?
Torek. Last remember our guest 2 weeks ago. Remember
Oh,
Torek from
right.
Hello.
Yeah,
Ryan
the last
Tool,
name keeps
Lighting
throwing
Boy.
me off. Yeah, no, he was
the
fantastic.
He was animated and fun, and he's had an extraordinary experience. We only bring him in here to do big things, important things, and he happened to be in the building, so we clapped him up and threw him in the chair because he's a dear friend, and just good stories and a good friend. So thank you so much, Ryan, for coming on the show. We really appreciate it, brother. We're thinking that might have you back because there's just no way to get into his head in 40 minutes and get it done.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there.
There's just too much.
You got a note down here about Scott Chavez?
Oh, Scotty Chavez, that's the guitarist. Unfortunately, he's a guitarist for the bass player for My Heavy Memory, and there's another one there. What's his other band? Does it say? Short Fuse. He's a badass metal dude, and he's a dear friend. He's a sweet guy. He got the vid, he got the COVID, poor thing, and he also had the unfortunate incident of his guitarist from My Heavy Memory lost his life a month and a half or 2 months ago in a tragic incident. And so it's been a tough time, and he wanted to bring me he makes these cool staffs, these big staffs like Gandalf.
Oh, yeah.
Just like that, and he made one for us.
You shall not pass.
Yeah, and that can really work in my game here.
Yeah,
what I
absolutely.
do, just break out the staff and slam it down, right at the big fucking elephant door.
Make
So
some sparks fly.
he's gonna bring that in, but he got the vid, so he's not coming out. But he'll appear on the show, and you'll see his big gnarly heavy metal frame. He's a badass. Not a love melody. He's a good man.
And you said something here I didn't get. Joey's passing?
Joey.
Just Joey's passing?
Oh, man. Oh, dude. Okay. All right, guys. I don't know how I spun that. Again, I'm juggling like 10 shows, and you have no idea the amount of
It'll
stress
come
we're
to
under.
you.
Oh,
Yeah.
I got it now. Okay, so I started this thing with my friend Just Joey. He calls himself Just Joey out of Florida. He liked what I was doing.
Oh,
with
right.
The
You told me
Backstage
this.
Pass,
Yeah.
one of my fan pages.
Yeah.
It's roadie specific. It's for roadies. And we vet them very hard. He had the idea that we'd start this other thing called Death by Loadout, which was a little more tourist, a little more forgiving. We allow in some touristy folks, but of course, all of the brethren, you're in there, I'm in there.
Yep.
And so they could kind of see what we do. And that one's a much newer place, but it's much bigger because we're more forgiving in who we let in, And so we had built that thing up. And then I want to say beginning the first week of October, he had gotten the vaccine, and he responded poorly to it, which that could happen to you having cinnamon right now. That could happen to you anytime you introduce a foreign body into your human body. It can react harshly, and it didn't go well, and unfortunately fell into a coma, and he passed away. This was a 35-year-old man with 2 beautiful children, and he is now not with us anymore. It did not help that he was hamstrung by the politics of the state he lived in, which was Florida. So it was just a very traumatic thing, and there was a lot of emotions around it. And so I would just like to send out our most dear affection and condolences to his entire family, his ex, his children, his parents, his friends. That was a tragic loss for our industry. He was a pretty accomplished stagehand rigger, and he's not with us anymore because life is tricky.
Yeah, life is tricky, and life is precious, and
and fleeting.
And fleeting. We got to take every day as it comes, and just appreciate your existence on this ride, whatever this ride is. So I'll throw out a couple of
Do you like your gift?
Unabashed. Yes, I love my gift.
All right, I had to give Bernie a gift for showing me love and coming to the world, and
you did.
I hope
And this
you enjoy that.
is your way.
Oh, yeah.
It's like everything comes out left field. It's like, here, I got this for you, or here, I did this for you, or whatever. And it's never you're never at a loss for a surprise from Vince. So I greatly appreciate it.
I'm very, very fond of you. You are my brother from another mother, and I adore you, and I appreciate what you've done for here in the absence of Kyle Thomas.
Kyle, he's back now, right?
Kyle just landed from the John Legend tour today at around 3:30 over here in Oakland.
So I'm leaving, everybody. I'm leaving. It's all over. This is it. This is it. Enjoy it tonight because this is the last.
No,
I'm done with y'all.
I don't think it's going to go exactly like that.
No, I mean, it never does, right?
No, but I know Kyle will be back in here sharing time with us, and we'll work all that out. And we're excited for. So we're happy that he's landed.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's tired for after a couple months out there, touring the country, and so good for him.
I'll do a couple of shameless plugs, and then we'll get going with our tonight's guest.
We're at 7:20. You have 2 minutes.
Yeah, man. Yeah, fucking 2 minutes. 2 minutes. You don't pay me enough. God damn it. No, I mean we just finished. Oxbow is going to be wrapping up after this weekend,
TCM.
and the TCM system, the networking system that I designed in conjunction with Link USA, has fucking nailed it the whole season.
Killed it.
And
awesome.
and that's incredibly exciting for me because I always knew that it was a product that was going to have to be field tested. It was going to have to be adopted by the industry. It wasn't something that you could throw a fancy ad at and say, hey, buy me. Yeah. It's something that has to be hands-on. You have to experience it, and then you will start to adopt it. So that's really exciting for me. They did an excellent press release in Live Sound Magazine with George.
That was really good. Yeah.
So they went through the whole thing, and so I'm really hopeful. We're talking to another major brand in the United States that is considering adopting it for their stuff, and that's a pretty amazing thing to have happen. What are you looking at?
My lovely wife just said Vince is the best man I know. I'm so crazy about this woman. I cannot tell you this enough. I am so insanely in love with this girl.
She tells me the same thing. I don't get it.
Well, she's joshing when she talks.
She's joshing. She's joshing with it.
She means it when she says it about me. But I love you, sweetheart. I'm sorry, Burn, you were saying.
No, it's fine. No, we'll talk to Jackie. That's fine. Fuck you.
Bernie got his little feelings hurt.
Jackie, you want to talk to me? Jackie, are you going to text later?
Jackie, ignore him completely.
Are you going to text later? I had this great conversation today. I had sent, Kiris are going all over the place. Actually, now they're in Canada, Mexico.
Yeah.
I actually sold one I sold 3 to the camp of Alejandro Fernandez.
Oh, yeah.
It was
good for you.
20 million albums he sold.
Yeah, he's done
Major
well.
Latin Grammy Award winner. Yeah. He fucking loves it. The band loves it. The 2 of the guys in the crew bought them. Totally amazing. I jumped through fucking hoops like you wouldn't believe to send one to Hong Kong.
Yeah.
Got that finally off today. So Jamie Welton, if you're out there, he's anxiously anticipating getting his.
Yeah, he'll be very happy.
I had this great conversation today. I sent one to New Jersey with a gentleman up there who contacted me today and spent an hour on the phone with me talking about the whole concept, and this is actually a guy in the industry, and man, he was all over this. He understood the presentation of Kiri. He understood the kind of whole sense of where I was coming from and stuff. I was fucking blown away with this guy. After an hour, I'm like still talking to him, and I'm like, man, you fucking get it. Yeah. It's like if everybody starts to get it like that and they start to understand, it's going to be a wild ride.
Yeah.
So
very, very special product. Super
thrilled with that. And today we launched our corporate gift package idea.
Oh.
So basically, it offers companies the opportunity to. There's a minimum order quantity of 6 Kiri, and if you buy 6 Kiri together, we'll do the cabinets in your corporate colors.
Oh,
so for people who have like high-end clients and things like that,
sure.
Towards the holiday season's coming,
be a hell of a gift.
And we'll do it. We'll put Google on it. We'll put Tesla on it. We'll do whatever. We can do some laser engraving.
Yeah.
And we can do this package for you that then you can send on to your most valuable customers. So we just started launching that today, and we're pushing it out.
Well, it sounds very wonderful. I'd love to see the marketing on that, and I back you all the way, my brother.
Well, thank you. That's all I got. Thank you very much. I'm going home.
I'm gonna cut over to our guest, but I just wanted to say real quick that Charlie Zaricki just made a very good point that said Mike does an excellent job at providing sound and video. That's the Godfather saying that, Mikey. We couldn't do without you. We love you, brother.
I think that was after 2 retracted messages that were probably throwing him under the fucking bus.
No, probably coming after me, or maybe you for being overly vociferous. All right, let's do this thing.
All right,
listen, you guys. You know, in my ever-ending quest to highlight different parts, disciplines in this industry, I've reached out to many, many people, you know, different folks from staging and security, of course, a ton of extraordinary audio people, extraordinary lighting people. Tonight is no exception. Our guest tonight started up by taping Dr. Demento shows. If you're old enough to know what that is, I grew up on this stuff. I loved him. Going to Grateful Dead shows, taping that stuff. He went to the Institute of Audio Research, then moved to the Bay Area and worked at Sound on Stage. Sound on Stage is a pretty, they're a competition for us, but I will give them the credit due that they deserve. They're a highly functioning company that does some amazing shows here in our area, and they're extraordinary. And he worked with them back when the days when my brother and I worked there, and my brother ran the place. He's worked at the world famous Fillmore, at Slim's. He's toured with the bands like Cake, or worked with bands like Cake, Social Distortion. The list is super long. Then he got burned out. You know, this is a thing that happens about 30% of us. And he decided to move to North Carolina and move into some other pursuits, and has become and done very well at that. And I wanted to talk to him about that, because that's a real thing that happens in our industry. We came up with this guy who he easily did it for, I want to say, 15, 20 years in it, and he did a hell of a job at it. He is a wonderful person. He's from Hot Springs, North Carolina. It's the one and only Jason Brodsky. How are you doing tonight, Jason?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thank you so much. I'm actually in Asheville, North Carolina.
You're in Asheville?
Hot Springs is just a skip and a jump away, and it's a lovely spot.
All right.
Wish I lived
I
there.
lifted that from your information. The rest of it.
You need to update your stage plot.
Gave me his old rider. I got the old rider. I got the
Nice first show.
you got in the wrong place. You know,
You got that rider.
It's happened to the best of us. Listen,
Welcome, buddy.
welcome, my friend. We're really glad to have you.
Happy to be here. It's
Happy to
a
be
huge
here.
honor.
Listen, talk to us about, you know, I mentioned that the Dr. Demento tie-in, I obviously had a fondness for, and then Grateful Dead, that's kind of a really well-trotted out avenue for music appreciation. You know, they must have thousands of bootlegs of one of the rare bands that allowed that, encouraged that. Talk to us about how you got into audio.
Yeah, thank you. So I got into audio because I was literally that kid who would take apart the stereo that my parents had in the living room, and they were infinitely patient with me. And I would, you know, they'd come home and our old little Sony, whatever it was, I'd have speakers across the room and wiring everywhere. You know, I was like 8 or whatever. I was just always fascinated by audio. Like I'm not really a visual person. I'd hate to lose any of my senses, but if I had to choose one, it would be sight. I mean, I can listen to books on tape. You know, I can probably learn to appreciate some Braille art. But definitely music is so important to me, and just the way the world sounds is so important to me. And so I started to, just be aware of like the way things sounded around me, and I would record like we all did, with a old Radio Shack mic in front of the speaker. Before I even figured out how to record from in the unit itself to tape. And I was just fascinated with that. And so I had a little neighbor of mine taught me some guitar, and I started playing a little bass. Had a little band around Monterey, California, Go Vegetarian Alternative.
I do remember this.
And I realized, quickly that I was a better technician than I was a bass player. There were better musicians out there than me. The very few times that we ever had a sound person when we would play a gig, it was not lost on me that the attitude of that person made it or broke it. If that person was gracious and happy to see us and clearly was liked their job, it was lovely. And if that person was, oh my gosh, we all know that person who couldn't be bothered, it sucked. It was no fun. And I at the same time had been seeing a lot of Grateful Dead shows. I started getting into concert taping. I mean, you asked how to get the audio. So as a kid, from that Dr. Demento stuff to then going to Grateful Dead shows to realizing, oh, there's a magazine called like Mix Magazine, and I can like learn about microphones and the application of such. And I didn't ever see myself in a real traditional, straight job, for lack of a better description. And I thought, hey, mixing this rock and roll looks fun. I mean, the lights go down, those guys walk out to the mix position, they mix the show, lights go up, and they're out of there, right?
Yeah.
And so I thought that'd be a
That's
fun
what you
job.
thought happened.
What I thought happened. Little did I know. Little did I know, right? Yeah, I saw them at 3 a.m. I thought they were leaving.
Yeah, wrong.
From the night before, not getting there, for the next show.
Yeah.
So I realized, if I'm going to have a job, this is something I want to do. I couldn't believe that this actually existed at a large scale.
Yeah.
And so at the time in 91, there wasn't anybody that I'm aware of really teaching performance audio, as I call it, live sound. Full Sail had opened up, I think, right around the time when I went to IAR, but Institute of Audio Research in New York City was a good match for me. Mainly because, Dan Healy was on the board of directors. So I'm like, well, if Dan Healy, is on their board of directors, that speaks volumes to the content and what they were doing. And it was interesting. They really taught signal flow, and they taught studio stuff, which I really don't have an interest in per se. And when it came time for everybody to get their internship, I didn't want to do the studio internship. We had a studio there at our school. We would find, as we say here in the South, bless their hearts, we would find these bands that needed somebody to record them for free. Yeah. And they would come in and play all night long, and we would record them. And I think the defining moment for me that sent me on the live path was when I was running the tape deck at the time, that old big Sony reel-to-reel thing we had in the studio. Yeah. And we kept trying to get a guitar take from this guy who just insisted on playing it over and over and over and over again. He was never happy. And finally, during a break, I said, what are you going for? What are you trying to get across? And he said, I just want it to sound spontaneous. And I thought to myself, wow, I just don't think I was like, okay. And that was so profound to me that I realized I wasn't going to find spontaneity there. And I didn't love the controlled environment of the studio. I kind of liked the chaos that I learned at the Grateful Dead. I learned how to run a whole lot of tape decks and make flips and do it in the dark, and when the batteries were dying, and when, maybe I had a sip of punch, whatever it was.
Combat audio.
Combat audio, right,
yeah,
exactly. And absolutely. I learned to make it work, and I loved it. I really didn't think I worked well under pressure, but I think I did.
Well, so you made the journey from IAR, New York, like you mentioned, out to the Bay Area. And I know the first time, although we have a common history with Monterey, I don't remember interacting with you much back in those days. Did you ever work with Tony Nacita or any of those things?
I know that there's a couple of people whose names escape me, but there's a couple of guys who used to run Doc's. And they would do some local shows. I can't remember the name of the sound company.
Doc Ricketts.
Doc Ricketts,
That would be IAMP, on Independent Audio Monterey Peninsula, still a company, Tony Nacita.
Yep, IAMP. And I think that is who it is. And I did a thing at Laguna Seca with them, small thing.
Yeah.
B stage type thing with them back in the day.
Were you around still in Monterey when we did the Dead out there? 280,000 people?
Well, no, I was 87. I was there.
Yeah, that was crazy.
It's either the Grateful Dead or the Pope.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, the Monterey International Pope Festival, which I happen to know they had more fights at that event.
That was a really unusual event.
Not kidding.
Yeah.
I know that for a fact. But before leaving New York, I had my internship that I ended up getting, which was invaluable, was at the Knitting Factory.
Oh, no kidding.
And it was the original Knitting Factory on Houston. And why that's important and relevant is I could have gone to, with all due respect to Joe's Blues Club, I could have gone to Joe's Blues Club and my experience would have been, bass, drums, guitar,
sure,
ad infinitum, right? And maybe a saxophone and whatnot. But the Knitting Factory was, here's a person bringing a stack of antique books that they're playing with a sex toy, and there's somebody screaming while they shave a cat, and that was just Tuesday, So it was a really good opportunity to learn, and it served me really well. And we'll talk about some of those opportunities where I was able to pull something from those early days and apply it.
Yeah, now the Knitting Factory, what a, legendary spot. I mean, Jesus Christ, there's some really great bands, great shows, and I can imagine you really got put in the fire in that mix. I mean,
Yeah, and it was like the size of your closet.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
the original upstairs venue was like 110 people, and we do, amazing artists.
Absolutely. So you sojourned your way out to San Francisco, and I'm sure there were stops along the way and things. And then the first time I became familiar with you was at Sound on Stage at Jerry Pfeffer's place. I think George was running it at the time, my brother. And you came in, and we fell in love with you. We thought you were amazing. We put you to work. You went out and did good. Talk to us about your time at Sound on Stage.
Yeah, Sound on Stage was a great experience for me. That was really my first gig in San Francisco. I think it was even before I was at Slim's. Probably like 92 or 93. And I worked with a great guy, Joe Moon. I think if he's still rest in peace. I think he passed years and years ago.
He did, in fact.
But Sound on Stage was great because I really thought that I wanted to own a production company. I thought that I wanted to. I got that out of my system.
Delusional, I think, is what it was.
I think
that's called delusional.
That's called ambitious without knowledge, without the knowledge of understanding.
That means delusional.
Be nice.
So I now assemble sound systems on a much smaller scale that I can get my arms around. But at the time, I really was intrigued by, the logistics. That's what got me into it, was seeing the Grateful Dead, all the time. And it was, or any other concert, but mainly the Grateful Dead. And they nailed it. It was just nailed wherever it was. However, but I knew how much time they had to set up because I drove from the show before to get there, and it was perfect. And juxtaposing that with my own little band experience and how hard it was for us to just, even figure anything out. And I was so impressed with that consistency, and that just, led me to really want to do that. Yeah. And I think I might have lost track of what you asked there because I got sidetracked on that.
But it's fine. That's and you mentioned Slim's. I'm not sure you know this, but Slim's had an extraordinary run. As long as I've been in the Bay Area.
Great run.
But they went away about 6 months ago. Boz Skaggs and their other owners decided to close the shop. But so it was absolutely tragic.
Kind of tragic.
Yeah, but I know you did a lot of work there at Slim's. What was it like working at Slim's? I mean,
Slim's was great. Slim's was my first live gig in the city. I was there's a great mix engineer who's left Slim's, Shakir King, who hired me, and he's a big shot, a studio cat now in Nashville, Nora Jones type of mixer and whatnot.
Right.
But I was walking by Slim's, and there was a truck being unloaded, and I said, who's in charge here? And he's like, me. And I said, I just moved to town. I kind of know what I'm doing a little bit, I think, and I'd like to work here. And he said, will you work a show for free? I said, sure. He's like, well, tomorrow night's 5 local blues bands or whatever. I'm going to stick you on monitors. And he did. And it was great. And I ended up being there from, 92 to kind of like 2000, 92, 93 to 2000.
Wow.
Everything from, monitors to front of house to production manager.
Yeah.
I learned a lot there. I learned it was a great place to watch touring acts come in, and you'd learn as much from the phenomenal engineers as you would from the other engineers. And I really, probably my favorite part about that club gig was when it would be many local band nights again, and the local band would bring their buddy who was learning the ropes.
Sure.
And I'd watch that person's eyes glass over, and I just always believe in grace, and I always believe in trying to help and lift people up. And I've watched other engineers be like, step aside, kid, you're not ready for this. And I would never do that. I would always, when I saw this person's glassy eyes and panic come on as they have 3 minutes before doors, the last band, I would say, what, if this was my act, I might, maybe set the kick drum like this. And I'd probably, you probably want some compressors on the vocals. Is it okay if I put them there? And I would really graciously make it look like that person was giving me instruction and just set them up for a great show.
But did you ever have the flip side to that? Did you ever stand there and go, oh my God, you guys are doomed?
Oh, all the time. Yeah. I mean, when I would, it always amazed me how people didn't want to listen to the house guy.
Right.
And when I would get to a house, I would say, what do I need to know? Like first thing, right? Yeah. Because the guy might say, this is really unfortunate, but our left side sub's out. Or, something that I need that's pertinent information. That
you got a soldering gun?
that I would need to know. And I remember, guys would walk in and I'd be like, "Hey, I'm Jason. I'm your friend." This is the other key to success. This is the only way I've ever introduced myself was, "Hi, my name's Jason. I'm your friendly sound guy." And I would attempt to say, something or launch into something about the room. They're like, yeah, kid, I've been doing this. Because when I started, I was really young. I guess I looked young. I'm 51. I started doing audio at 22, and was had a pretty solid career at a fairly young age.
Mm-hmm.
And so I occasionally got some attitude, And so yes, to answer your question, I would stand there while they would fight themselves and fight the room. And if they'd listened to the 2 suggestions I would have made, it would have made their whole night a whole lot easier.
Master Fader is over there.
Well, but the approach is, somewhat uncommon. The grumpy sound guy stereotype is real, and the struggle is real. It's a thing. By the way, Susan Kearney, who spent a lot of time at Slim's, Bimbos, she's really made the round. She works here at Sound Image. She's badass. She's saying hi. Apparently, she was just having a conversation with somebody about you yesterday, according to the comments on the screen.
Well, hello, Sue.
Yeah, she would like that very much. She's a good girl.
Yeah,
so
she's a great one.
Yeah, she's amazing. In the shop, I think listen, I love this band, and I have a lot of history with them. But in the shop the last couple of days, I don't know, it was right in your show that spawned it or what stuck it in my head, but we've been playing a lot of Cake. Now, Cake is a very specific, unique band. There is really nobody like Cake, and when they bring it, they bring it hard and heavy. I just love them. I love them a lot. I know you spent some time working with them. What was it like working with the great Cake?
Yeah, Cake was really fun, and I'm proud of this because, again, it seems to like the theme of this is just, do good.
Yeah.
But they would come to Slim's, and they were the first of 5 local bands, and then they were the second of 5 local bands, and then they were the third of 5 local bands, and then they were finally the headliner. And Will Cotter, if you don't know him, you should know him, which was Cake's original mix engineer. He was just a really nice guy. He was the other person who would roll into a club and just be gracious and kind, and and play ABBA to test the room, and I have to give him props for it. It worked. But he and I, would do well together, and I watched this band come up, and I really liked them because they're super quirky. Mm-hmm. And I got a call, or maybe it was the last time that they came and played Slim's, and Will took me aside and he said, "We're about to, our record's going, and we're about to do our first tour." And the guy said, "Can you ask that nice guy from Slim's? He's always been, nice to us and made us feel welcome there." And so I did their first bus tour. I did.
This for Comfort Eagle?
I guess it would have been, was it Fashion Nugget? Pardon me, guys. If anybody from Cake is watching, I don't know. But whatever the first record was, we toured that around the States. It was really fun. Did a little bit of international stuff with them in Canada.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was fascinating. And then in '97, I went out with them again, and we supported No Doubt, and that was really fun. It was Cake. Yeah. It was Cake, the Vandals, and No Doubt.
Great show.
It was Vandals and then Cake, and then the No Doubt.
Lineup.
Great, yeah. It was a super fun lineup, and I really learned a lot. That was when I first got my taste of like kind of the big time. And I remember, I think one of our first shows was maybe Arco Arena in Sacramento, and I remember going out and ringing monitors and just looking up, from monitors and being like, that's a lot of people out there. Yeah. And the pressure was on, and learned a lot.
That's their hometown crowd right there too.
Yeah, their hometown crowd. And I mean, we were using, nobody was on ears. And I remember that night, just like how getting technical for a sec, how the humidity in the venue, brought down the feedback point.
And then you still grab a handful of third octave.
Yeah, exactly. And unfortunately, that's a real low volume, band, and they really know what they want.
Yeah.
And they're fun. I just recently was out in the Sacramento where my sister lives and where Vince lives, who's the trumpet player, and we had a nice time reconnecting and catching up. And I always said, hey, if you all ever go out again, I'd love to. I make that offer selectively. That's a band I'd love to go out with for a little bit.
Sure.
I just find them to be intellectually stimulating. It's great music. It's fun. It doesn't sound like anybody.
No, I couldn't agree with you more. They're absolutely unique in their approach. They're unique in their dress. They're unique in their song craftsmanship, the way they craft songs, and they're just good guys. They're down to earth. They're humble, and they. And the word intellectually stimulating, that plays for me. I get that totally. They're kind of they're cake, man. You know, there's no really, because there's bands that kind of fit into lanes, you know, Def Leppard,
Yeah,
whatever.
absolutely, yeah.
No, not cake. Cake is like jellyfish. They're just cake. They just come out and do cake, and it stands alone. It's extraordinary, really fun.
I mixed a band back in Canada called the Philosopher Kings.
Yeah.
That was very similar to maybe not the music, but the vibe. You know, there was only one Philosopher Kings, and they only did their thing their way. And like you, I mean, I fell into the, you know, I just want to stay here. This is like a family, and we got along with everybody. And it was like a real team sport. You know.
That's right. Yeah. That's a very fortunate place to be.
Yeah.
So moving on, I know that you've worked in one of the houses I like here in San Francisco. You know, San Francisco is a very storied region in the sense of some of their houses. Help me. Not the Fillmore, which is I'm about to talk about. The Warfield, for example, or the On Broadway, or the Plumbing.
The Warfield.
Thanks. He is really helpful. I'm glad he's here this evening.
Sorry, we're on time delay.
I know that you worked some time at the Fillmore. Now the Fillmore, I mean, this is a place that has had every friggin' band known to man. Did you work there during the time? Tony Biancalana, they're the big cheese over there, is a dear friend, been on the show. What was it like working at the Fillmore?
You know, Fillmore was a good venue. I only worked there probably under 10 times. I was kind of going between, you know, Slim's. There was a minute there where several of us were like between Slim's, the Great American Music Hall, you know, Bimbos,
sure.
and Fillmore. And Fillmore was fun. It's a nice. It was a little more hands off because at that level of venue, you know, the bands are bringing in a little more production.
That's right.
You're either mixing everything, you know, for the opener and doing everything, or you're just kind of babysitting. You're setting up some mic stands and you know, by the time a band's playing at the Fillmore, unless it's like a local band night, which there are, at least there have been, it's more of a babysitting game. Yeah. But of course, you know, being there, my gosh, the best thing about that place is clearly the posters. You know, anybody who's been there, my lovely fiance, who I don't know if she's been to the Fillmore, when we were moving things around because we're looking, you know, we're about to move at some point and staying in Western North Carolina, but I have boxes and boxes and then some more boxes of rock and roll memorabilia. And my goal is to have, of course, my listening room, my man cave, resemble the Fillmore. With, you know, everywhere you look, there's something of amazing rock and roll artifact.
That is a lofty goal, and you go for it, my friend.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can do anything, and I bet you got the good juju for that. I kind of just recently got out of it. I have a massive rock and roll collection of memorabilia.
Some great stuff.
I have some crazy shit and some really,
I'm sure you did.
You know, and I've been slowly kind of giving it off to, you know, Paulie Montero from SIR, from Studio Instrument Rental.
Gave me
a bunch of things. I just gave Mikey a very famous Muddy Waters poster, you know, this, like stuff that it just, I'm finding I think it's my chick. My chick has just gentled me down, and between the two places we stay at, I just can't imagine putting any holes in the walls. So
when I get the plasmatics portrait, I know I've arrived.
He's talking about this plasmatic signed Wendy O. Williams thing I got that's from like 1981.
I've looked at it like a million fucking times every time I walk through.
It's pretty great. Right?
It's pretty great.
It's all signed up by the whole band.
Yeah.
It's from a Hammersmith Odeon show in London, and this is like some rare shit, and you know, of course, she's passed, and so it makes it very rare. That one I am still sticking on to.
I know,
but I will part with it one day.
I know.
I'm never obviously putting that on my channel. I don't think my girl would
that's
cool with a half-naked blonde chick on the wall.
You know, like I said, I'll know I have arrived when that shows up on my doorstep. This needs to
already got a gift today. God, you greedy bastard.
That's not a gift. That's like I don't know. That's like a kidney.
This kind of next level shit. Listen, I wanted to jump over to something that's a band that really intrigues me through the years. The first time I saw them, pardon me, the first time I saw this band, I think it was, we were doing I think it was a Cow Palace. It was like a New Year's Eve show, and they were opening up the headliner was Chili Peppers, Pearl Jam, middle slot, Mr. Bungle.
Oh, Mr.
And
Yeah.
and you know, this is, if you don't know who Mr. Bungle is, people in the audience, Mr. Bungle is an offshoot of Faith No More.
Yeah.
Really, it's Mike Patton's insanity.
The man of 1,000 voices.
And he just blew my mind. I remember I'm standing stage right, and they're playing a song called Travolta, which they later got sued for by John Travolta, and had to take it off the album. And they're playing this song, and out of nowhere, he took his boot off. And he peed in it, and then he drank the boot. We're just like, what the hell?
That was it? From Patton?
That's my memory that I'd like to share with you. But what was it like working with Mr. Bungle? Because they are special.
Well,
and then an
it's just
extraordinary
like
band, another band that's just Mr. Bungle. They're not like anybody. They're
not like anybody else. Well, as you can guess, it was very PG, kind of like a Disney movie. No, it was definitely not like that. You know, working for Mr. Bungle was a huge honor. I have to say that I'm if I had to pick, you know, what I'm the most proud of, there's a few moments in my rock and roll career, but that entire tour that we did was California. It was I tour managed and mixed the 1999 tour that was called California. Mm-hmm. And we did 40 shows in 48 days.
Wow.
And the tour sold out
impressive
instantly before, you know, before we put anything in the van, the tour had sold out.
Yeah.
It was insane. And it was insane in mostly a good way. It was us, and then Dillinger Escape Plan was the opening band that came up with us.
Yeah.
And it was the only gig that I've ever used to this day mixing with notes. Because we would drive and we would listen to recordings of their albums, and Mike and the band would cue me, and we would go, you know, 20 seconds on a song and stop, and, you know, this is how I want the snare to sound, and this is how I want where I want this to be placed spatially, and this is which I really appreciated, this is your improvisational sound guy part. You know, you can have fun with your delay and whatever. Yeah. And it was fascinating because we were not carrying production, and that was a huge undertaking. We had, oh my gosh, I mean, I don't even know. I have my set list, my input list somewhere, but it was, you know, so many banks of keyboards and so many banks of samplers and guitars and vocals and drums and a Willie Wynant on a full percussion rig, including timpanis and, you know, you name it, everything from, it was a huge amount of gear and a huge amount of stuff. And we rocked it. I mean, I had a great right hand, Joshua Paul. If you don't know him, you should know Josh Paul. And he's down in LA. And Josh took the gig in about a minute because and this is tying in the Knitting Factory. So I had worked, the way I got recommended for that gig was my buddy Mark Orton, another great film composer guy. He and I worked at the Knitting Factory together. He is a wonderful musician in and of his own right. So he knew those guys at a different level, but knew that I had a penchant for the odd and unusual and a good sense of humor. And I had watched, you know, learning at the Knitting Factory when Patton would take his 58 and, you know, play the monitor. You know, he would start grading on the screen, and the average engineer was like, "Whoa!" You know, and they did. And Mike and he understood that I knew he knew that I knew that he could work that monitor and he could play the feedback without blowing the thing up.
Right.
And many engineers, you know, he'd come to Slim's or whatever, and I became the guy that would work those weird shows because nobody else had the bandwidth for that or enjoyed the music or whatever it was. And so I had worked with Trevor Dunn in his different projects. I'd worked with, you know, Mike. I'd worked with a couple other guys whose names escape me because it was a big group for a second. Danny Heifetz.
A lot of people came and went.
in different bands. And so it was kind of a no-brainer. So we start doing rehearsals in San Francisco, and I show up day one, and I realize that, you know, we all know that there's nobody smarter in the music industry than band managers, right? Just superseding all of our wisdom. So they decided that one crew guy was just enough, you know, me and a guy who kind of would drive the truck and sell T-shirts. And it became apparent real quick that wasn't going to fly. It was just like, this is just not going to happen. Yeah. So I literally called Josh Paul, who I woke him up, and I'm like, Josh, what are you doing for the next, 6 weeks? He's like, why? I said, do you want to come out and be my second and my monitor guy, Mr. Bungle? He's like, that sounds great. Like, when? I'm like, can you get here in 10 minutes? And he did. And
Mr.
we
Bungle's
pulled it
worth
off.
it. They will.
It was worth it. It was
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
I almost died on that tour of sheer exhaustion, frustration,
I believe
inspiration,
that.
all those things. I think
Absolutely.
we all did.
Yeah.
It was amazing. We had probably one of the few craziest events of my life. Was what I loved about the band. To give you context, was we had a really good level of trust. So, and we were all exhausted in the best way. But Mike would do this great thing where if he saw that there was any drama with the production, that was not our fault, like who we were interfacing with, he would walk in and make this big show about, we could all use a day off. And, Jason, if this won't work, let's just go to the pool.
Right.
And we rolled in somewhere in St. Pete, I think in Florida, and we walked in and I knew there was issues with this place advancing it. And we walked into the classic, nothing works, everything's scratching, and I'm getting huge attitude because the Rolling Stones were here last night. It was perfect for them.
Good enough for the Stones.
Right? What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
And basically, they had flagrantly not met our rider, and it was a specific rider because we were putting on a freaking production.
That's right.
And so there is a 1,500 person crowd outside. There is absolutely a PA that just will not work. That will not work, won't make anybody happy, and will just suck from the first minute. And I told the band, they're like, well, what do you need? I'm like, I need what I asked for. I need what I was promised. And so they're like, well, cool. We're either going to have a night off or you get what you need. And at 8:30 on Saturday night, we basically held our ground, and the production company that we wanted, who brought in the turbo sound rig, who brought in the Midas, brought it in. And that tour, I think that show launched the quote, which was doors at midnight. Yeah. Because we told the promoter, we're like, you can get us what you need, or you can call the police because you're going to have a riot when we leave. Because there's thousands of people outside that are dying to get in. So we made these guys, they ate it. They hated us. The sound company was great. They're like, oh, yeah, you were the guys that called. We wondered what happened to you.
Right.
Because the venue was hoping they could just pull one over on us. So that was just nutty. So that was that kind of tour. There were great nights and great shows. But it was super intense, just super freaking intense.
Listen, my friend, I could go into major depth here. I want to talk about Social D, Maze Star, the one that was really curious to me, Donna Summer. What an extraordinary talent.
I just downloaded a Donna Summer song. What song was it?
Giorgio Moroni and her. I mean, the stuff they did. This is a soundtrack to my early life. My mom played that stuff off the hook in the 70s. Just extraordinary singer. What an amazing belter.
Amazing.
But we're kind of running long on time, and I wanted to get to the subject of you moving off.
So fast.
I know it's weird how that happens. It's just like bam, bam, we're there. And so let's talk about the burnout that can happen in this industry and how you dealt
super
with it.
real, right?
Yeah, it's the thing. I'm feeling it as we speak, actually, not because of this, because of what my workload right now. I'm pretty tired.
I'm a demanding guest, man. You can just come out and say it. Yeah.
I get that vibe. Yeah.
What it was I had a couple of dream gigs. One of my dream gigs was working for the String Cheese Incident, and I had a lot of support in that band. They gave me what I needed. They gave me what I wanted. They listened to me, and I had, as I jokingly say, I had a gray glove gig. I came in at, 10:30. I set up. I was at catering. I sound checked, but I was 45 minutes. I was out.
Yeah.
45 minutes to an hour after the show, I was done. The band really understood that they counted on me to be super focused, and I loved it. And I loved their music, and I just started to. The travel was killing me is what it was.
Sure.
It was something, it had to do with like the aging, I guess. I hate to say that word because I like to think I'm aging well, but I was noticing that I was having some health issues. Quite frankly, I was having dental issues. I was having like major tooth sensitivity and a bone loss, and nobody could figure it out. And I put it together. I used to jokingly say, kind of like a badge of honor, people say, oh, you were in Europe, you were in this, you were in that, you must be tired or jet lag. I said, no, I'm just tired all the time. But tired all the time is not really good for your body, because what was happening was my body was fight or flight. My body didn't know that I was mixing rock and roll. It thought I was on the run, because I was sleeping an hour and I was and learning that truth of rock and roll, which is it's the quality of your hotel is inversely proportionate to the amount of time you have to stay there.
That's
If you have 6 weeks off, it's a Motel 6 in Des Moines. If you have 8 minutes to take a shower, it's the Abu Dhabi.
Yeah. So true.
Yeah.
So I became so exhausted, and I just remember one show. It was the beginning of the String Cheese tour, and I looked at my laminate, and I had my schedule on it, and I was like, I'm 8 minutes into the first set, and I'm ready to go home.
Yeah.
I was just tired. And so I quit. I quit String Cheese, and I thought, maybe I want to do front of house, and then I went and did front of house with a Donovan Frankenreiter for several years, and had a wonderful time. But then I realized I was just I thought it was String Cheese. There were some big long days. It was a lot of production, and I thought it was the band, and it was really the industry. And so it was a bitter pill, to realize. Because I loved rock and roll, but I didn't want to be that guy on the bus who should have quit 20 years ago. And I didn't want to wake up on a tour bus full of 19-year-old millionaires who are going to do this tour, and they go home and, get on their yachts or whatever. And I'm, back to, what I'm saying?
Back to the club gigs again.
Back to the club gigs again. Yeah. So I decided to go into real estate. I thought that, I was always interested in it. I'm a people person. The skill set really transfers, and my work ethic. Rock and roll is like, we got a show to do. The world we're all in here that I came from, that y'all are still in, is unless it is something really, really major, the show is happening. And the only thing out of my mouth is, yes, sir, we're getting it done. Shows at 8 o'clock. Right. The artist does not need to know that whatever just blew up, it blew up, unless it's absolutely show stopping.
Yeah.
We're having the show. So I bring that has worked well for me in real estate. It can kind of steamroll some people sometimes because I get it done. But what I like is it's problem solving for me. I got out because I burnt out, but I went into the career I went into because I get to problem solve. I'm kind of sitting behind a desk, but I'm mostly driving. So it's kind of like being on tour because I get to drive around, to different houses. If you go to an open house, it's kind of like catering.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit. But it was that's why I did it, because the burnout is real. And for me, it was really the traveling. I used to joke. I'd say, people say, oh, you have the best job in the world, and I'd say, I love it. I said, I love it, except for the late nights, the loud music, and the crowds.
Yeah.
Other than that.
Other than that, it's amazing.
Wonderful.
Because I love playing with big sound systems, and I love helping the artist get their art off the stage. I don't even... I'm a mixer. We all know engineers that can tech everything and take something apart. I don't, degrade the term in their presence by saying I'm Peter George, people like that, Don Pearson, people like that, engineers. I'm a mixer. And I don't know how I do what I do. It inherently is a gift that I've been given since being that 3-year-old, learning to tape Dr. Demento. But I'm good at getting that music off the stage and helping them get the art off the stage. And I love that. And I like to participate in it in little fits and starts when I can, but as a career, I just couldn't do it. It was starting to not be fun. It's a glamorous gig, right? So we all know what that means. Hey, I'm tired. I want more money. Yeah, there's 15 kids from who just graduated Full Sail who will take your job.
Yeah, that's an absolute fact.
Yeah.
Well, that's reasonable. I understand it. I understand it. I see it with some, especially through the many decades now. I've seen that happen, and I guess I've run up against it myself. Is when I kind of started house catting it and kind of teaching others how to do this and survive it.
Yeah, you kind of got to know. You kind of got to know when the signs are there that you got to transition. I've done it all too. I've been a freaking chameleon my whole career, from musician to front of house to owned a rental company to back to an A1 to corporate to pro touring. Fucking now I'm building goddamn loudspeakers. I always looked at it as long as I could stay in the industry, as long as I can continue the passion for what this is sound. You said earlier, sound is powerful. Sound is going to fucking cure cancer, by the way.
You think so?
Oh, absolutely. Right now they're doing, some incredible testing on how sound waves can destroy cancer cells, focused into the body. Our calling is a lot higher than we give it credit for the passion of what it is that we do as true sound engineers. You're saying earlier, if you lost any sense, it just shouldn't be sound. I totally concur with that. And, you know, through my career and sitting in all kinds of different positions in the industry, I can tell you now, it doesn't really matter to me. I will do sound in one form or another. It really doesn't matter what it is, but I will always be sound.
That's where your passion's at.
Yeah.
So things are working out well for you in North Carolina?
Yeah, I'm in Asheville. I love it. It's like California was many years ago, but there's a lot of Californians here, and it's changing like everything. There's a great music scene. I mean, there's a great, just tons of music here. We have, you know, Asheville and New York City are the only two places I've ever lived where on any, you know, non-pandemic normal night, it's like, what 7 bands am I going to go see?
Yeah, sure.
You know, and you can walk to all these venues, and there's a really high level of production here and a lot of talent here. And it's a good place to be.
Can you just make me feel horrible by telling me the price of gas there right now?
Oh, it's very expensive. It's $3.09.
Son of a bitch! Jesus,
$5, dude. $3. You need to take a pill, bro, because you got it real good. Okay, we're paying like $5.
We hit the magic 5, man. I didn't think we were ever gonna do it. We're over $5.
I think Big Sur, what's that little spot? Is $7. Somebody
down there at that Pfeiffer gas station.
They're selling it by the bottle at the liquor store now.
Sure.
Listen, Jason, it was really great to catch up with you. I'm really glad you landed on your feet. I'm glad you knew when it was the right time to get out and move on to things. I'm glad that has become a successful venture for you and that you're happy. You look good. It's just been really an absolute treat to have you on. I very much appreciate you spending your time and sharing your experiences with us.
This has been huge. When you asked me, I was really tremendously grateful. You know, I'm not super active in pro audio these days, although for the reasons we just talked about. But it's nice to. I'm so grateful for everybody who helped me, because no one succeeds alone. You know, this is a business. You really have to look out for people, and it's a wonderful career. It's an amazing profession, and I love it, and I like to encourage people to do it. And it's fascinating how it's changing. You know, now the things that, you know, the kids today, you know, those, like, what are those things by your desk? They're those cases. I mean, everything's on my phone right now.
Right? Those damn kids.
You're not wrong. All right, my friend.
Wrong. But let's do it again sometime. You guys have a great night, and yeah, thank you so much. And to all those people who I can't see on that scrolling thing, who I might know or
they're there.
Worked with in the past. It's great to see y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in, and great to meet you, sir. And I'm just really happy to see y'all. Hey, can I show you guys something super geeky real fast?
Yeah, geeky is good.
We do geeky.
Before I do that, all right, let me figure out how to do my background thing here. Hang on.
Oh yeah.
So this is really freaking cool. Check this out. Let me see here. All right. No filter. Okay, so this is the audio shrine. This is where you've been in our home. But what's so badass about this, for all you geeky people, is check out these 1957 Marantz tube amps.
Oh, dude, check that. Oh, you're not playing,
Isn't those
buddy.
Cool?
Those are
not
really
playing.
Cool. I love to be able to see the insides of things.
I'll leave you with this. This is the craziest thing. So the best thing about this is when I just moved to San Francisco, a friend of my dad's, Pete Marrera, may he rest in peace, he calls me and says, hey, your dad tells me you're doing audio in San Francisco, and he was an ex-jazz drummer guy. And I said, yeah, I am. He goes, I've got some stereo equipment. And he goes, if you can lift it, you can have it.
Oh, Jesus.
And
here we go.
Thank God, this is pre-internet. Thank God I never, ever sold them or did anything stupid with them. And when y'all are in North Carolina, you're welcome to come in and stop by, because this is what I get to do now. I get to build little sound systems in my living room.
Oh, I bet it sounds great.
And it sounds great. We have a ridiculously high ratio of quality audio equipment to square footage in this house.
That's one of those good problems, my brother.
Well, I got one that takes up just a little bit of square footage.
Yeah. You talked enough, Curie. It's awesome. It ain't gonna beat that one, baby. I'm sorry. That is. Like,
I could go tube amp. I could do that.
Very sweet. Right on. Thank you for sharing with us, my friend. You take very good care of yourself. Thank you so much for sharing your time and your experience.
Much love, you guys. Have a great night.
Much love, brother. Be well. Wonderful. That was wonderful.
Yeah,
getting
that was
to talk to catch up,
great
Jason.
time.
A sweet guy. You know, when we were coming up, he was real close with my bro, and we would reach out, and it was just like he's not wrong. He was always the good guy, the nice guy.
You could tell. I mean, you could just tell from the way he talks. I mean, he's the voice of wisdom. He's the cool guy that walks in, that makes the day flow. You know, there's no drama.
Show. Yeah, it was always a better show if he was
Don't
on
give
it.
him drama, because he's not going to give you any drama.
It's not going to happen. Yeah, it's just not that way. Listen, we ran a little long tonight. I appreciate you guys' patience, and it was our pleasure to be back finally. We do this we try to do this every week. Historically, we've done this every week, and we're back on track, and we're going to add some other technology to keep doing this every Thursday at 7 p.m. We've got some great guests booked up for the future here. Next week, we're going to have the one and only Ron Bergman. Ron Bergman is the former senior production director for Live Nation concerts. Now, if you know anything about our concert business, you understand that Live Nation is the big dog.
The big dog.
And he was their production director for, matter of fact, he only just basically retired recently, and just an extraordinary cat. So he's going to come and he's going to sit right here, and we're going to have a nice interview with him. He's a dear man. We're looking very much forward to it. Until then, we appreciate you guys sharing time with us, letting us run a little long. We hope that your week goes really well, everything goes good, that you have a happy Halloween. I think we're going to see him before Halloween, right? What's the next date, the 24th maybe? Something like that, I don't know. We're going to see you. What is it, baby? 27th. We'll see you on the 27th. We'll talk candy and scaring people and all that shit then. Until then, you guys behave out there, right, man? It's that easy. Behave, be good to others.
Yeah, just be good to others.
We'll see you next week. Thanks for tuning in. Good night.
Good night.